Alright, I wanted to make a really quick video. I really kind of think that I get maybe it's the mechanic of it. It's new, so maybe staff doesn't really have a grasp on what they need to do with this. But considering that this item came out of the new challenge, Gauntlet, the Avian Trio challenge, and the items that come from that are supposed to be very good, I feel like this item may just very well be the worst item they've ever created. And the item I'm talking about is this new spell Fowl play. So what we have here, there's a combination of factors that really make it it's basically a good idea, but an extremely poor implementation. It's so bad that I can't think of a single test case or a scenario in which it would be advantageous to have it over just a regular fucking spell. It's so bad. But basically, what you have here, it's foul play, and what it is it's first of all, it costs SP instead of MP, so that's already, just as a matter of opinion, that's already a strike against it. But what it's doing is it's using monster strength as a stat. Okay, so what that means, so a lot of items, when you balance items, stuff likes to come from a place of an assumption. Okay, so the assumption is that you're going to use it against a monster with strength. Well, that means that especially with the new changes to the stats, we're going to see monsters that are rangers without strength. Maybe before we would see, strength partner with dexterity most of the time. We may not see that as much going forward. Against mage monsters, it's going to be useless. And because it's a wind spell, the assumption is you're going to be fighting an earth monster. Most earth monsters are weak to wind. So what the assumption is it's optimal against level 150 earth monsters that happen to have strength. So when you talk about the percent chance to come across that, it's pretty low. Whether you're questing, whether you're random battles, boss fighting, whatever. So really, initially staff decided that it would have a penalty. I think it was 0.7 or 0.75, and then they were talked out of it. So now it does normalized damage. It still isn't good enough. They really need to go back to the drawing board on it and treat it like a trigger. Most triggers have, I think, like a 10% up trigger, down trigger, or whatever, and there may be some variety. But because it's literally taking stats, which is such a large percentage of damage, it really should have an extremely large trigger and an extremely low down trigger. What it really should have, honestly, is it should start off with normal stats. It should maybe look more like an efficient spell, kind of low damage, and then you have your stats. If you want to have a melee variant that gets stats from strength, a mage variant that gets stats from intelligence, but then as a trigger, throw on top the full strength stats. And in that instance, it would become maybe the most powerful spell in the game. But because of the assumption that you're going to have to fight a level 150 monster with full strength that also is an earth monster, that case scenario should justify the change to the spell. But even right now, I mean, you know, if I did this now, it's going to use the strength, and it's doing melee damage, so it's had to get through its little MP barrier. So even right now, it's not really doing a lot of damage. You know, wind element's only 90%. And the other thing about it is you can't equip a misc. You can't do Buffalot. You can't do, you know, you would have to do wind-based elemental empowerment or Elivones or other means of damage boosting, which is another reason to so you don't have as many options to boost the spell. So making it basically do the same damage as a normal spell, but yet you have less options to boost it, and you're using the monster's stats, so it's random. So if I just go here and I just pick a random battle, if I'm just random battling, so I have a level 120 monster, it has lower strength, so it's going to be worse. Not only because it has lower strength, it's going to be worse because it's not an earth monster. Alright, so let's go to the next monster. Okay, so we have a pack monster. Okay, so it has a 185 strength. It's also not an earth monster. At this point, I might as well carry, if I decide to carry a wind spell, I might as well carry a spell that gets stats from myself, because I can boost my own stats, and therefore I can have more ways to increase the actual damage, and it works versus everyone, whether they're an earth monster or not. I can use it versus mage monsters, ranger monsters, charisma monsters, it doesn't matter. There's a number of ways. So here we have an earth monster. As you can see, it's weakest to wind, but it's not 150. So even against this monster, it's suboptimal to try to cast this spell. There's no reason, there is not a single reason to use this spell as a regular carry. There's not even a good enough reason to use it versus, say, like a boss. The only case scenario, you would have to find a level 150 earth monster that is maxed strength, but also has its weakest defense versus melee. That's the most optimal case usage. And when the hell are you going to find that? This item is literally the worst item Staff has ever made. And considering that it came from a challenge gauntlet, it's not worth your time. You know, the other misc, okay, you can make an argument it's decent, even though I feel as though with it having a dexterity inflict, you know, they're kind of on this roll with ranger specific bullshit, but okay, it might be good for rangers, great. But this specific item, I'm literally, I have to stand back in awe of the sheer lack of foresight on the item. Again, it's a new concept, and maybe they're a little bit hesitant to really go all in and analyze it. I really feel like they just took an idea and just literally just slapped it together and walked away and said fuck it. I mean, it is the worst damn item in the game. You had to go through that that gauntlet just to get something that you'll never use ever? No player will use it. No player will use it. I kind of wish somebody would put together. You're going to have to use a mathematical argument because there's no such thing as a game balance issue forum that uses common fucking sense. But unfortunately, you got to put together a mathematical model, and maybe somebody can get something together and do that. But the item needs to be changed before it disappears, and they use it as an excuse not to revisit it because they're so busy working on what they got to work on right this second. But anyway, this video is a bit of a rant. I just wanted to point it out that the item is just literally, it's the worst item they've ever made.